based on what we had been experiencing for the last couple of weeks. But essentially, there were four factions. There was a pro-Trump faction within the Rules Committee. There was an anti-Trump faction within the Rules Committee. There was a pro-RNC faction, which is just the institution of the Republican National Committee. And just so that you understand what that is, each state has 3 members. They have a party chair, they have a national committee man, and they have a national committee woman, plus the territories. So it's about 160 some odd people. A lot of those people, they don't believe in term limits. A lot of those people have been around a long time on the RNC. It is an institution in every sense of the word. The fourth faction was what I call RNC reformers. And they weren't necessarily taking a position on the candidate. They just wanted to see more grassroots involvement at the RNC level. They wanted to see more bottom-up opportunities for the grassroots to get involved. And in fact, one can argue that Donald Trump's candidacy is a grassroots candidacy. It shouldn't have surprised people that were paying attention to the grassroots. It surprised the RNC. Once the RNC embraced it, which you saw last night, which wasn't that long ago, but essentially going into the Rules Committee, 2 factions merged. There was the pro-Trump faction and the RNC faction. And they formed quite a strong alliance. So at the committee meeting on Thursday, we started at 8, and they immediately adjourned because they had a copier malfunction. But I have somebody that I know in my family who's in the copier business. Copiers don't malfunction for 4 hours. And especially in a place like Cleveland, when you call somebody and get a copier right away. So what was actually happening was a backroom negotiation to try to get these factions together. And frankly, I wasn't involved with anything. If I had to align myself with a faction, it would be a reform faction. It would be trying to get the RNC more grassroots oriented. But they were not successful after 4 hours. And I could see what was going to happen yesterday on Thursday. As it turned out, the committee meeting started. Anita had the first amendment that passed, 2 amendments that passed. They were somewhat housekeeping. Most of the amendments did not pass. Most of the amendments were defeated by this Trump RNC faction. Frustration grew and built, and sometimes the debates were even closed off early on a vote. Somebody would make a motion to call for the previous question, and if enough people said yes, they didn't want to hear the debate, then it stopped. And so frustration grew. I don't know if continuing negotiations happened over the weekend. Oh, by the way, the Rules Committee, I think once the people in charge realized that they had the votes, at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, it was decided we would just push through. Instead of taking a break, letting emotions calm down, we pushed through until almost midnight on Thursday. And I think that added to the frustration. I think that while they got through the agenda, frustration continued to build. As it turned out, I think I had the last amendment, the last motion, and it was to make explicit the question about, are delegates bound? Are we bound by state party rule or state law as to who we have to vote for? And different states have different rules. They have their primaries at different times. Some of them have proportional voting once they get to the convention. Some of them are winner take all. What I did was I found everybody kept using the same argument to support their side. We don't need to pass an amendment. Everybody already can vote their conscience. implied authority if you piece together certain rules. To get beyond the implied arguments, I brought up the 1976 rule change that said you are bound. Make it explicit, and then let's move on. It was a gift horse. It was looked in the mouth. It was rejected. 10 minutes later, it was reconsidered. The factions realized it was probably a good idea. They passed it. The meeting concluded, but still people were frustrated. So over the weekend, there was a lot of discussion. People wanted, the minority wanted their say, and there was a lot of discussions as to what to do. Should a minority report be signed? It would have taken 28 out of 112 members of the Rules Committee to sign a minority report to put on the floor. You can imagine yesterday having 2,400 people considering a minority report. It would have been even more chaotic than what was Instead, what happened was the minority factions came together, anti-Trump and reform came together, and they put together an effort to try to have enough states sign a petition to ask for a roll call vote on binding. The rules require 7 states to require a roll call vote. Montana really didn't participate. We were an observer. We said we weren't going to align. We watched what happened. And as it turned out, 9 states came up with petitions. So 9 out of the 7 came up with the petitions for a roll call vote. What you probably then saw on the floor, the delay was RNC and Trump supporters went to many of those people who signed the petition, and the states went from 9 to 6. So 3 of the states
withdrew.
Their petitions were basically withdrawn because enough of the signature providers would revoke their signature. Okay, so when the chairman was up there gaveling, he knew that only 6 states had a petition, but you still saw commotion. I think what has to happen is there has to be a serious discussion in the next 2 to 4 years about how to get the grassroots more involved with the RNC. The RNC is the only organization big enough, I think, to fight democratic socialism. Democratic socialism, I should say. And we are the last best hope, and we need to figure out a way to do that. And so I think those discussions will go on. Senator Fielder and I will be on the RNC, and I'm hoping to try to see that happens. As to the commotion, what you heard were people very, very upset about one thing or another. What does it mean going forward? I don't think we're going to have any more commotion. And Anita, maybe you have a different opinion, but I think the commotion is over. I think from this point forward, people vented. They had what they believed to be their say. We're going to hear. It's going to be like a convention where people will speak, and you'll get there in the evening and you'll hear the speakers, and Donald Trump will be nominated, and I think that he's going to get a big bump at his convention. 90% of what happened last night was very, very positive. The messaging was very, very positive, and I think that will continue. A couple of speakers went a little long, I thought, but 3.5 hours is beyond what TV can capture, and so somehow they need to figure out how to package that better for TV, for the TV audience.